Good afternoon and welcome to the September 24th, 2024 Oklahoma City Economic Development Trust meeting. I'll now call the meeting to order. Item 2 on the agenda is the approval of minutes from the 8/27/2024 trust meeting. We can take a motion. We have a motion and a second. Please vote. The item passes. Item 3 on the agenda is the ratification of claims from August of 2024. We can take a motion on that item as well. The item passes. Next on the agenda is items for individual consideration. Item 4A is a resolution of the Oklahoma City Economic Development Trust approving a minor amendment number 3 to the amended and restated Downtown Maps Economic Development Project Plan. Mr. Sudol.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This is related to the next item, but what this is basically doing, when we adopted a TIF project plan, there's a budget and they have different categories. So we have enough cash to spend on some projects, but we needed to make a minor amendment to the budget. So we're taking the TIF 8, which is the TIF that's associated with the Devon development, and increasing the category other public development by $10 million. So we'll take it from $4 million to 10. That takes the total TIF 8 budget to $170 million. And again, under the law, that's considered a minor amendment, which this body can do because it doesn't change the character or purpose of the TIF, and it's less than 5% of the increment area or the public cost to the public. So this is really, again, putting budget in place so that some of the cash can be spent, and we have a exciting project on the next item to talk to you about that was part of the impetus for that.
Any questions or comments? If not, we can take a motion. The item passes. Brings us to item 4B, a joint resolution with the City of Oklahoma City approving an allocation to the City of Oklahoma City not to exceed $4,750,000 from TIF 8 for Wiley Post Park and USS Oklahoma City Memorial Plaza.
Melinda McMillan-Miller for the Parks Department's here. Just very quickly, again, this is not to exceed $4.75 million. It's from TIF 8. There is sufficient funding in that TIF. It was contingent upon that previous amendment that you just approved. So Melinda is going to tell us about the project.
Thank you for having me today. Melinda McMillan-Miller, Parks and Recreation Director for Oklahoma City. Before you is a proposal to complete the vision of the north shore of Wiley Post Park for the Quarter Shore Park improvements. That takes you from Myriad Gardens directly south all the way to the Oklahoma River. First slide, please. This map will kind of orient you a little bit to the area we're referring to today. Outlined in blue, you'll see that's the lower, actually that's the upper Scissortail Park. In yellow is the outline of the lower Scissortail Park as it runs due south to the green outline, which is actually Wiley Post Park. And then to the right there, you'll see the red outline, which is Manuel Perez Park. And the northern, next slide please, that northern green rectangle there, that is actually the area that we are hoping to improve the most. This is part of a 5-phase approach to improve Wiley Post Park. And this current phase, phase 3, is where we're going to focus today on this presentation. So back in, oh gosh, even longer than 2020, we were working with the USS Oklahoma City Memorial Committee to find a location somewhere in Oklahoma City, but preferably along the river, where we could create the new home for this memorial. Through lots of different options and lots of different ideas and much wringing of hands, the group and the city decided to really focus on Wiley Post Park North Shore. Slide, please. The memorial itself will include not only the USS Oklahoma City sail and dive planes, but it will also incorporate other items of nautical items of significance, a lot of different plaque areas and naming areas where we can really honor any of the crew members that served aboard this vessel, but also to memorialize the honors that the ship also received the boat. Yes, sir. The boat also received in all of its various deployments. Along with the USS Oklahoma City submarine, we also would also include items from the USS Oklahoma City naval vessel and its various attributes, whether that's the ship's screw, bell, and other items that will really be able to compact and put into the memorial itself. In the rendering you see in front of you is really the plaza, where we have terrace seating areas for different activities, memorial events, opportunities for people to have events where they're coming in to really meet the various crew members of the different vessels, but then also to just be able to commemorate and memorialize important holidays, and of course anniversaries and birthdays for the different, for the Navy specifically. Okay. Again, just various pictures of the plaza. Ship's screw and bell you can see in the background. Go ahead. And again, this really is at the very base of Harvey Avenue where it meets Southwest 15th Street. And that really will be a grand entrance, stairs coming down so that people can really get up close and actually be able to see the ship's sail and dive planes. That's an overarching view of the memorial itself. There off to your left, you'll see where Harvey Avenue comes down to the intersection. To complement the memorial, we will have various park improvements. Those improvements encourage people to have an interaction not only with the memorial, but also with the riverfront itself. We'll have various seating areas for shade, which is very important down in Oklahoma, but also plazas where people can congregate, where people can sit and have various picnics, also band shells, play areas, trying to utilize the built-in shade of the Robinson Avenue Bridge with various park improvements you'll see in this rendering here. And then with the little stage area, we'll be able to have concerts and different venues to complement the activities that are happening in Lower Scissortail Park as well. We're really excited about some of the play features. They'll have two different play areas, one that will be under the Robinson Avenue Bridge, and then one further to the west, nearest to Walker Avenue. Again, just to encourage a lot of play, encourage people who live in the neighborhoods. Wiley Post Park tends to have hundreds of thousands of people visit it every year for various activities, but then also to encourage people to keep moving south, move towards the river from Scissortail Park, and really engage in the overall processes. Now this is an old rendering so I'm showing it to you for two reasons. One is just to kind of show the general outlay of the park improvements itself. You'll see the shadow outline of the USS Oklahoma City. In this picture, that actually has rotated. In the next image, you'll see that. But just there you go, thank you. So you'll see now the boat has been rotated so that the center of the mast of the sail is actually dead centered on with Harvey Avenue. So when you're looking from the sail, looking due north down Harvey Avenue, it really exemplifies the skyline of Oklahoma City and just connects it to that central axis of how the city's been laid out. So overall in the project, we have ARPA funding that has been allocated for Wiley Post Park's park improvements. Those ARPA funds are scheduled to have to be exercised or at least encumbered before the end of this year. The rest of the funding costs for the project you'll see listed there. After the ad alternates and the various construction costs are just rising so quickly anymore, we've put in some inflationary caution costs in there, some contingencies. That we expect the overall project shortfall at this point to be $4.5 million. And so today it's where we've come to you to request an opportunity for possibly $4,750,000 to complete the project. Part of the project I need to explain too is that this is to build the infrastructure. When the USS Oklahoma City, the nuclear reactor actually cools, that will then be broken apart. The sail and dive planes will be moved to Oklahoma City, and that is a portion that the USS Oklahoma City Memorial Committee will be fundraising and bringing the sail here with the dive planes to have them installed here. And we don't expect those to actually arrive in the city for about 3 to 4 more years. It takes a long time to cool down a nuclear reactor.
Any questions, comments?
I was just going to say this. It's an honor to have Mayor Norick here today. I'll tell you a story that he's been looking at locations along with Meg Salyer and others since 2019. And one day in frustration, I was sitting there and Scissortail Park had been completed and the body of water was there. And I said to Mayor Holt, I said, let's just put it in the middle of the lake. And he rolled his eyes and I knew it was dead on arrival. That idea was gone. So we found a wonderful location. It's going to be really great. I'm excited about it, and I can't wait for it to be built.
I think it's a wonderful idea. I know it's been looking for a home for a while, but you, in your comments, you said you're increasing the play aspects of the surrounding area. How will there be security to ensure that there is no playing on,
Great question, right? Yes.
I mean, that's critical because people
Yeah.
will feel, oh, it's accessible. So
Right.
what will you deal with that on
Right. So one of the very first questions that the committee asked me was, how are you going to secure this site? You know, not only just from, mostly from vandalism, because we know it's kind of rampant in a couple places. Part of what's really great about the design of it, and could we go back to maybe slide 4? I think maybe it's slide 4. The final design, and it will be right there, thank you. Whoop, yes, thank you, perfect. Is that it'll be made, the foundation is planned to be made of granite. And so, and within that granite will be etched names, records, whatever have you, whatever we need to memorialize, anything possible that the committee comes to mind. And that is all be made of granite. The sail itself and the dive planes, of course, are made of steel. So, and it's huge. I mean, you're not going to be able to get up on top of the dive planes from, even if you're standing on the granite platform, you cannot get up there. It's very, very tall. Mr. McHughes told me before the size of it, and the scale's massive. So we can't probably keep children from trying to climb on or walk across what you see there's the flat black, that's actually the shadow outline of the full size of the submarine. It's to represent the full scale of the boat. But we're not people from getting on it necessarily. But it's made of pretty indestructible material. Our biggest concern is people actually damaging it, you know, as far as graffiti or trying to take a hammer, sledgehammer to it, whatever. We have security that will be through the park. We right now have a security team of 2 people that patrol our parks along the river from basically the Boathouse District on the east side all the way west to Wheeler Park. They patrol that 12 hours a day, every day of the year, back and forth, constantly back and forth, to really deter the graffiti, vandalism, and the hardcore things that are really expensive to fix and break. That has been a great deterrent for all this. Okay. And then it is the Parks and Rec Department's responsibility to make sure it does stay well maintained. And especially until when the actual sail and dive planes come to be installed in Memorial, there will be a temporary one put in, like a replica, if you would, made of, I'm assuming, wood and maybe aluminum, I'm not sure yet, that will keep that in good shape and condition until the real sail arrives, and then from then on. But it is part of the city's responsibility to maintain it.
Perfect. And then in terms of at key attendance times, if you will, key events or whatever, have you thought about having docents that were part of this to help tell the story?
Yes.
Because people don't read.
Right.
They want to hear,
They wanna
or
hear,
see.
or just give it to me in a 5-second sound bite, right?
Yes.
Yes, and what's really great, the Memorial Committee is working really hard and understanding that, and they've done this already at Pearl Harbor. This group has worked together to create that memorial, and they are, again, coming back together to create this one. And so a lot of that is creating those volunteers that will be there to help tell the story. We're really hoping that we'll have members of any of the crews there to help tell the story of the real significance and importance of memorializing not only these vessels, but the people who are there. Yeah. Thank you. We're looking forward to that collaboration with the committee to help us do that.
Completion date?
Well, if we receive approval, the construction on this project will actually start this December or January. And then from there, we're thinking it's about a 12-month process. It'll be a pretty significant scrape. It's a big change across that portion of the river. We're closing a couple of streets in order to get rid of that and retain back some green spaces that are just really kind of sidelined at the moment. So we're thinking 12 to 18 months. Like Mayor Holt had told me one day not too long ago, he said, just tell everything's 18 months, we'll just go from there. So 18 months, we'll go with that.
What day would that be? 18 months?
That would be in
from now?
2026.
I gotta put it
Sometime
on
in
my
2026,
calendar,
we'll
right?
have the park finished, yes.
Yeah, like
But I
noon.
think, but the boats elements won't be here for another 3 or 4 years.
Got it. Thank you for your presentation. It's
You're
very, very exciting.
Yeah, we're excited about
exciting.
it. So thank you for your time today.
Thank
Appreciate it.
you.
Thanks.
All right, item 4B, we can take a motion. All right, we have a motion and a second. The item passes. Thank you again. Item 4C is a joint resolution with the City of Oklahoma City approving an allocation not to exceed $500,000 from TIF 2 for the 2021 Ancillary Infrastructure Program. Ms. McSpadden.
Yes, good afternoon, Joanna McSpadden, Finance. So we are asking to increase our ancillary infrastructure program by $500,000. We have essentially depleted the last allocation that was approved in 2021. This funding is typically used for alley improvements, sidewalk improvements, little ancillary infrastructure projects throughout the city, the downtown area. One of the primary uses may possibly be improvement of alleys in the lower park area. We're starting to see homes built there, and this was a mechanism to improve SOSA alleys in the past. And so we may you'll see agreements come back for each of those individual projects, just like we did before. So anytime that those dollars are allocated, you'll see that contract come back through. Happy to answer questions.
Any questions? If not, we can take a motion. We have a motion and a second. And the item passes. Item 4D is a joint resolution with the City of Oklahoma City approving an allocation of $4 million in city general funds to the First Americans Museum Foundation. Ms. McSpadden.
Yes, so if you all will recall, in 2023, the state allocated $5 million to be used for operations at the FAM. We received that money earlier this summer. We used $1 million to shore up their FY24 budget, and we used the other $4 million essentially to cover their operating budget for FY25. This leaves the $4 million annual allocation to OCDT for FAM operations to be assigned. And so these are the two projects that the FAM has approached us about. One is a Discovery Center, which is a family installation. They're hoping to open it in conjunction with the opening of Okana to capture those families that are going to the resort. And then the other $2 million will be placed in a reserve for future operational needs and capital needs. We plan to, if this is approved throughout the process, we would come back with contracts sort of outlining the terms for both projects, and that will come back to this body. And I've got Mike O'Neill here representing the FAM. If anybody has specific questions about the Discovery Center, he would be able to answer those.
I'd like to hear a quick thing on the Discovery Center.
All right. Well, I'm not a content person. Mike O'Neill, 522 Colcord Drive. So I'm not the content person, but I will say it's essentially an indoor Native American themed playground with kind of in the style of a pop-up book. So you'll be like, it'll feel like you're in the interior of a pop-up book. It's on 2 levels. There's climbing equipment going in. There's a lot of interactive exhibits planned for the space. And it's believed that it can be completed sometime in the summer of 2025.
And correct me if I'm wrong, but our funds would supplement other funds. I think there's about $4.5 million they've raised from other sources somewhere in that
That's
ballpark.
correct.
Just to give you a sense of the scale, it's a large project.
And this approval by this body will unlock $1.5 million from a private foundation that we'll be able to deploy as soon as this is approved.
Any other questions? All right, we can take a motion on item 4D. Have a motion and a second. The item passes. Thank you. All right, item 4E on the agenda, a joint resolution with the City of Oklahoma City approving an allocation not to exceed $128,020 in pay-for-performance film incentives for Project Telephone. Ms. Simpson.
Good afternoon, Jill Simpson, Oklahoma City Film, and I'm bringing my 7th application to you for the Oklahoma City rebate. It is an independent feature film, and it's a supernatural thriller. The exciting thing about this project is that it's a gentleman out of Kansas City who comes from advertising and marketing, And he has ties to Oklahoma City. He wants to come in and set up shop here and do a slate of films in the $4 million budget range. So this is the first of those projects. That's exactly the kind of customer we have been hoping for to keep our crew working. The dates are October 29th through November 27th. Richard and Amy Janes at Filmmakers Ranch are coming on as co-producers. They're hosting the project as far as sound stages and office spaces at Filmmakers Ranch. 94% of the crew base will be Oklahoma City crew. Anticipated Oklahoma City expenditures of roughly $2,770,112, which is a really large percentage of their budget. They meet the qualifications for the 5% rebate level because their expenditures meet the minimum $500,000, but they're still less than $5 million. 50% of filming days in Oklahoma City, main production office within city limits. They're doing post-production at Filmmakers Ranch, and they're pre-qualified for the state rebate. Recommended allocation for the project at 5% is $128,020. They are estimating their number of local hires for crew at 67. That equates to 2,007 work days over the course of production. 94% Oklahoma City residents across the board. Qualifying income labor, a little over $2 million. 22 days on the soundstage at Filmmakers Ranch. And what we love to see, 100% of picture post-sound editing and mixing, and a sector we're really working to grow. 75% of filming days within Oklahoma City. 94% of crew are Oklahoma City 7-county MSA. 100% are vendors, and 100% of tech talent are from Oklahoma City. This is the numbers here are based on running it through our economic impact modeler. Total local economic impact for this project is $6.2 million. Jobs supported direct and indirect at 343. Labor income, $813,517. And then total qualifying expenditures, roughly $2.5 million. That's after we reduce their above-the-line expenditures capped at 25%. Taxable expenditures, $235,423. Below-the-line salary, $1.84 million, and above-the-line, $692,000. And that's, again, down from $900,000 because it's capped at 25%. Any questions?
Jill, is this a feature
Feature
length?
film.
Okay, okay. And perhaps an independent release type thing?
Yes, his plan is he wants to do multiple films here, take the first one out to the festival circuit, get distribution that way, and then keep putting the money back into doing other films here. So it's a good model, well thought out, and he's fully funded for the first feature.
So what is the $20 for?
That is, we take it down to an exact number.
Okay.
We don't give anybody a penny more than what they earn.
Gotcha. A latte then, okay. All right, thank you.
If it's nothing, you can give me $20, okay? If it's, I'm just
We
saying.
watch our P's and Q's on this program.
All right, we can take a motion on item 4E. With a motion and a second. The item passes. Item 4F is to receive the annual report from the Oklahoma City Economic Development Foundation relating to the Oklahoma City film and creative industries. Ms. Simpson.
Thank you. My full report was submitted to you. It's rather lengthy, so I'm going to focus on the highlights of the year, of which there have been a number, but I think we can all agree that our biggest victory of the year was Twisters. The film has performed beyond anybody's expectations, and for that to be our very first rebate customer in Oklahoma City is really something to be proud of, so thank you. Were it not for this incentive, there's a good chance the film would have gone to Georgia. And I just want to go through some of the numbers with you. We capped our incentive in Oklahoma City to $1 million per project. So even though Twisters spent well beyond what they would qualify. I mean, they could have qualified for several $1 million in rebate. They were capped at $1 million. That $1 million incentivized work throughout the region. So I hosted a panel over the summer with representatives, city managers from Midwest City, El Reno, Chickasha, Guthrie, and each one of them, even though it didn't film in Guthrie, just talked about what a project coming to the region means. El Reno has already seen a rise in tourism based on the scene with the trolley car. I'm just curious, have you guys all seen the movie?
2 times.
Good. Well, I hope you enjoyed it because I just thought it was a real love letter to Oklahoma, and our $1 million really spread out through multiple communities, which is we want to see. They were all very grateful for the partnership. I would really like to create a regional coalition to grow the capacity of area communities in supporting film. I want to give you an update on the box office numbers because I just checked them before I came over here. And yes, it did $81.25 million in the first weekend, which was double what we expected. But as of Friday, it had done $267 million domestically and $370 million globally. That is huge. And I just came back from a conference in Los Angeles. Oklahoma is on the radar like I've never seen. 2 or 3 times a day, we were mentioned at panels by studios. Before I went out there, I reached out to the people who had contacted me in the last year about projects that have not come to fruition. Every single one of those people responded to me, and that has never happened before. So we're on the radar. People are taking us seriously. They want to bring their projects here. And again, that $1 million we spent in Oklahoma City equated to $42.6 million in direct spend in Oklahoma City on one film. So you can see some of the other statistics there. Beyond just the money, it's brought about a sense of pride. NBC Universal brought a whole entourage back in July, which has never happened before. They brought their studio executives, their creatives team, their producers, their director, their stars. They all came to Oklahoma City for a red carpet event. And it was incredible to see our community turn out. I saw some of you there, and I hope you felt the pride that I did, because it's really giving us something to talk about in addition to the Thunder, which, you know, we all love them. But film and media are another outlet for lifting up our whole environment. So the film was a love letter to Oklahoma. We now have the opportunity of taking that momentum and turning it into tourism, a tourism bump. We already have a tourism map that people can find on the Department of Commerce site, where they can find where the scenes were filmed and make a pilgrimage to those sites, and it's already paying off. And they've done one for Killers of the Flower Moon as well. So that just brings added revenue to our communities. We have 5 more projects currently pre-qualified. Now we have 6, I guess, with Project Telephone. I'm about to bring you a 7th next month. The good news here is what I talked about in my report. Yes, we love the Twisters. Yes, we love the huge economic impact, but the smaller homegrown projects are just as important. So we've had 1 huge film, and we've got 5 smaller films, 3 of which are from local filmmakers telling local stories. So that is an intrinsic part of what we're trying to do, lift up diverse voices, giving them their foot in the door, because we want them to stay here and keep doing their projects here. These are the numbers. I think I explained to you in my report that they're much smaller this year because we had 2 strikes last year. We had a writer's strike and a Screen Actors Guild strike that really impeded the pipeline. We had the threat of a union strike that didn't get solved until July of this year. But not every year is going to be a Twisters year either, and I knew that going into it. So I think we need to keep looking at the long term. The numbers for last year were $22 million. The cumulative for the first 2 years of the office are well over $124 million. So for the investment, that is a huge return. So I want to keep looking in that direction. Some of the other things we've done over the course of the last year, I partnered with the State Film Office Cherokee Nation, the Tulsa Film Office, and we hosted an event in Los Angeles in November where we invited 150 studio and production company executives to a rooftop event in conjunction with American Film Market, where we marketed to 7,000 industry executives. Highly successful, helped get the word out that we're open for business and want to have them come back. And then locally, there's been a lot going on. I've hosted 2 what we call film-friendly workshops, where we bring the community to a meeting room and talk to them about what happens when a production company comes in. What are they looking for? What are best practices? How can you prepare for that? How can you protect your best interests when they do come in? So we hosted one for City of Oklahoma City employees and another for downtown residents and business owners, and those were both in May. And the goal is to host more of those in the coming year. I hosted a panel on producing strategies at Dead Center Film Festival that was standing room only, that really gave some good, insightful, up-to-date information to our local industry. I've been hosting Oklahoma City Mixers to bring our local industry together, educational panels, sponsoring of local events, and then also trying to create this coalition of regional partnerships. We have, as you know, it's at a moment of time with Prairie Surf, where they will close their doors at the end of the year. And the City of Oklahoma City and the Greater Oklahoma City Chamber and even the Trust, the Alliance, are working closely with them to identify their next location. I feel they're very close to announcing a location. I have not been given a date, but I know it's down to 2 potential sites. So if they were to start from scratch, a new build would take a couple of years. So we do have some other facilities in the meantime to host productions until we can ramp up to large stages again. Filmmakers Ranch has added a Dolby certified mixing room that opened, I believe, in April, called Apex Post, and they're already getting quite a few projects there. Filmmakers Ranch is about to expand with another soundstage, so we're excited about that. Boiling Point Media continues to do great work in the digital visual effects and animation space. And then we have a brand new virtual studio on 8th Street near the train track in downtown. And I know seems like it wouldn't make sense to have it right near the train track, but I promise you cannot hear a sound or feel a vibration, and they're about to add a virtual floor, which would give them 360-degree virtuality. And it's incredible, and if you're ever interested in going over, let me know. What's on the horizon is there's a lot of work going on right now about the 2025 legislative session. And I think for the first time in a couple of years, our industry is really coming together on a single objective, and that objective is more money in our state rebate fund. We're turning away probably 50 to 80 million, if not more, in business per year because we're capped at 30 million with the state rebate fund. I was just at a panel this morning with Lieutenant Governor. He feels like our rainy day fund is in good shape and concurs with the point of view that there's never been a better time to ask for more money considering all the successes we've recently had. So I know a lot of us are going to be rallied around that. There is what's called an incentive evaluation committee review this fall, and I've been working closely with the state office, Tulsa, Cherokee Nation in collecting really heartfelt letters of support for the industry and what it's meant to individual communities and companies. So we are feeling optimistic about that. They bring in a consultant from out of state who does this every year on different incentives. It just happens to be film's turn. Do you have any questions for me? Anything I can answer?
Any questions? Nope. Thank you, Ms. Simpson.
Okay, thank you.
All right, let's take a motion on item, 4F to receive the report. Got a motion and a second. The item is received. Item 4G is to receive the Alliance for Economic Development of Oklahoma City fiscal year 2024 fourth quarter report. Mr. Sudol.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So the report is in your packet, but I just wanted to highlight a few things, and of course, if there's specific questions. But again, lots of activity continues on the ARPA programs, and the big challenge with that right now is we have so many different going, trying to land this plane on December 31st and make sure we get all the funding out we can, but not spend over that. And so some of our major initiatives right now, working through a third round of the storefront improvement program. So we're working with a lot of different small businesses who've applied, but one of the things just keeping you in the loop that's difficult with that is we have to set some pretty hard deadlines here coming up of people to get their work in, so we kind of know where we're at. So that's one of our biggest challenges, both with individuals and some of our partners on ARPA, trying to make sure money gets spent, we know where we're at. A couple other things I want to mention very quickly. One of our projects down on I-240 south of Tinker, the Pratt Whitney facility, that there's a groundbreaking scheduled for
Ribbon
next-
cutting, I
or,
believe.
sorry, ribbon cutting, yeah, much better than groundbreaking, scheduled for next week. So that is a wonderful project, $255 million sustainment center. It's 800,000 plus square feet of space, so really significant development down there. And that was kind of a joint project between the city, OIA, the Water Trust, providing that land. And then one other thing I want to just update, it's been on here for a while, but we've made significant progress with the Air Force. We've been negotiating for a while about the purchase of some property from one of the alliance entities for the expansion of the new bomber campus on the east side of Douglas. So we've come to an agreement on that. We're working towards closing on that, and that was kind of the last thing before we actually move forward with the last stages of the closing of the section of Douglas. But I will keep you all informed. That's coming probably in the fourth quarter of this calendar year, maybe first quarter of next year, but it's something we're working on, and just kind of starting the procedural piece of that now. And so quite a few other development projects in progress right now that are listed, but I'd be happy to answer any questions if you have specifics.
Any questions? Nope. All right, we can take a motion on item 4G, receive the report. We have a motion and a second. The item passes. Brings us to item 4H, to receive the annual tax increment finance district reports for fiscal year 2023-2024 and authorizing publication and distribution. Ms. McSpadden.
Yes, hello. This is our annual statutorily required report for all of our TIF districts. The report itself includes financial information through June 30. You all receiving it today and authorizing distribution, it's going to be sent to all of the other taxing jurisdictions as well as the Tax Commission and the Department of Commerce as required by the statute. I'd be happy to answer questions about the detailed information, or if you want to send me something later, I can give you more detail if you'd like.
Any questions, comments? Nope. We can take a motion to receive. We have a motion and a second. Item is received. Item 5 on the agenda is the General Manager's Report. Ms. McSpadden?
I don't have any comments. Happy to answer questions.
Thank you. All right. Item 6, any comments from staff? Any comments from trustees? Did any citizens sign up? No. All right, that takes us to item 7. We are adjourned.